morning.
And it is still morning. I don't know what time it is anymore because for me, it's an hour earlier than it was last week. Because y'all went on daylight savings time.
Right?
We don't do that here.
And you're perfect right where you are. So you don't have to change. We just keep having to change back and forth at someone else's leisure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is where you are. We're so grateful that you're here.
Yes, we are.
Let us know you're here. Go ahead and make some comments, make some noise. Click those loves, those likes, click those shares. We love all of that good stuff. Of course, if you're watching on a YouTube, it's that one. You just got that one.
I have a banner.
Like,
subscribe,
and follow. Yeah. So we are in a brand new day. I'm so grateful to be here. How's everything going over there?
In Tucson?
Tucson, yeah, for sure.
It's good. We have gratefully we've had rain, which we've been desperately wanting to have here, and so I'm feeling good about that. It's overcast and cool today. So, yeah.
We're overcast. However, it's like a beautiful 4 degrees Celsius. Like we're in the pluses today, so. We're doing good.
Yeah, that's like 35 degrees Fahrenheit.
Is that it? It's heaven.
Alexa, what is 4 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit?
4 degrees Celsius is 39.2 degrees Fahrenheit.
39.2 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, even better. Definitely do not need another hour of 100 degrees in the summer.
Yeah, we really don't. Yeah.
So everybody, we're here to rant and have a radically affirmative new thought. I'm St. Steph, and this is my good friend,
Dr. Jay-Z. I always think it's funny that I say that because, well, I will also then always say I was Jay-Z. I was being called Jay-Z before Jay-Z was Jay-Z.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Jonathan Zenz, that's who I am. And here we are.
Hey.
Ready to rant.
Let us know who you are in the comments. There's opportunities to connect with us right here and right now because we're live.
Yeah.
We're here. We're present. So let us know if you have any questions or thoughts or things to contemplate with us. I wrote down last week. It's better. No, I don't know where I wrote that down. Dr. Jonathan said, the rants are better when they come from you. So
they are.
What do you want us to rant about? And we will get this fire started.
We will. But you know what? Let's start this way.
Yes.
Steph, would you do me a favor? Give me a number between a number between 25 and 423.
222.
222. And so I'm going to page 222. And would you do me, please, the favor of 1, 2, 3, 4, number 1 to 4?
3.
3. Disease will be healed. This is the third paragraph on page 222 of The Science of Mind. Disease will be healed provided you get at its cause and remove it. And by getting at its cause, we mean getting at the mental cause, and provided the one for whom you are working is willing to surrender that cause. And then this is in italics. You cannot heal anyone of their trouble if it is the result of some mental attitude which they will not surrender. In this case, find out what the mental attitude is and remove it by showing the patient the right mental attitude. It is the practitioner's duty to uncover false ideas of life and replace them with the truth. If this can be done before disease destroys the physical body, a healing will always follow. I have some issues with this.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack in that, actually.
Yeah. First of all, I, as a practitioner, a spiritual practitioner, cannot remove anything from anyone else's mind that they are not willing to give up.
Yes.
And so this sort of seems to speak to, I'm responsible for removing that thought, removing that idea, the mental cause from somebody else's mind. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can affirm in my own mind that there is a releasing of that, but that does not, it will not do anything unless there's a receptivity in the person with whom I am praying. They have to be willing to let it go. Talk to me.
Absolutely. And the, like hearing it from a standpoint of oneness, and the duty of a practitioner is to remember oneness and return to that, right? So when I'm treating for someone else, they have to be open, they have to be willing, and to accept the truth that is already inside of them. So when it said, it was talking about the practitioner removing that mental attitude or that mental experience. I'm only removing it from me. I'm removing it as a practitioner from the consciousness of me.
Right.
And so if I'm going to change my attitude and demonstrate, I have to demonstrate. So if someone's coming to me, a perfect example is peace. They want more peace in their life. I do peace really well now, but back in the day, my mind was chaos. I always talk about how my mind was a monkey juggling hamsters on a unicycle, and that's an evolution of what it was, because it was even messier than that. Yeah. But for me to demonstrate and remove from my mind a lack of peace or the attitude towards chaos, that's how I remove it. I cannot remove something, a mind, a mental equivalent. I cannot remove any thought from another human being. That is not the role or job of the practitioner. The role or job of the practitioner, or the duty, is to speak truth and to know truth for the person who is asking for support. Yeah. To know truth. And so we study truth. And we live from these principles so that we can be the demonstration ourselves. So if someone's like, I don't have peace, well, it's okay that you don't have peace. I have peace. Let me lend it to you through the power of prayer. If you still don't have peace, then, here's some homework. Here's some homework for you.
Yeah, I always say, are you receptive to the possibility of peace in your life? Let's start there. Are you receptive to the possibility of peace in your life? Because some people will fight like hell for their limitations and say, and they don't even realize they're doing it. So that kind of is an opening there. If you are open to the possibility of peace in your life, we have actually taken a step towards your being receptive to peace as an expression in life. But I also want to acknowledge, you used a term that is not, it is common in New Thought, but it may be uncommon for people who are not familiar with New Thought, and that is the term treatment. And so I think it is relevant and important that we define treatment. So I'm going to go to the glossary first and foremost, and it's a long paragraph, but what I want to read is just this one sentence, because I think this sums up what treatment is. Treatment is the time, process, and method necessary to the changing of our thought.
Boom. Period. Explanation point.
Yes. And we don't tend to, I'm a unity minister now, formally, still an ordained religious science minister. So I have hold 2 ordinations. So I'm always straddling religious science and unity. And in unity, treatment is not as common a word that is utilized in the discussion of the philosophy, but it was a word that was not unknown to the Fillmores.
Oh yeah, Charles Fillmore used the word treatment before Ernest Holmes did.
And I want to read the definition of treatment in Charles Fillmore's words.
Ooh.
A treatment is a prayer of faith and understanding for healing, harmony, wisdom, prosperity, or any other good desired. Its object is to raise the consciousness of the one being treated to a high spiritual consciousness through which healing is accomplished.
Boom.
So think it's always good to remind ourselves of the way we utilize words, and with a caveat that definitions are descriptive, they're not prescriptive, which means they don't, like, the definition is just saying this is how we use the word, but it is not it is not the rule for the way that word must be used.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I cannot remove a mental attitude from anybody else's mind.
Hallelujah. Because that means someone else can't remove a mental attitude from me.
It's true. I must be willing to give up that which is not serving me.
Yes.
And I may seek out the services of a minister or a practitioner or someone who has studied and is adept at the experience and practice of prayer, the way we teach it, which is treatment, with the understanding that if I am receptive to their mental attitude that they have taken the time to nurture in themselves, they're knowing the truth on my behalf, my receptivity to it becomes a healing idea in my own mind, and actually healing can be accomplished that way. But I have to be receptive to it. But it's also it also brings up the question, what are you accepting? What are you receptive to in the atmosphere of your experience that perhaps you wouldn't necessarily want to be receptive to if you opened up to the awareness that you were being receptive to it? Does that make sense?
No.
So let's say I go to a cafe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the midst of an atmosphere of experience,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And in that cafe, there are people working behind the counter, baristas and cashiers and things like that. And then there are people who are in the cafe who are customers of the cafe, perhaps sitting around having their pastry or their coffee. Perhaps there's a meeting happening over there because this is where two people have decided to have a business meeting. Maybe there's a student studying in this cafe. There's an atmosphere of experience happening there. To the degree that I, below the level of my own awareness, accept the atmosphere, I am subject to the experience of that atmosphere. Now, what if I walk into that atmosphere and the primary feeling tone of that atmosphere is discord and upset? If I am not aware of the manner in which I am in charge of my own thoughts, if I, below the level of awareness, just allow myself to be in that atmosphere and allow that atmosphere to dominate my experience of it, I will probably find myself in discord in my experience and in my expression. There's a great place that this happens a lot. The freeways of Los Angeles are rife with discord. And that's, the experience for many people, whether they are kind in the rest of their experience of life or not. The experience of many people, myself included, I was very much a kind of a rage driver in Los Angeles. And it's, well before I decided, I don't need to accept the rage that's all around me. But I would like rage out at people on the freeway. It's not because I'm inherently a rageful person. I don't think I am. But I was in the experience and the atmosphere of that mental construct. And I was accepting it below the level of awareness. Yeah. Okay. A lot of stuff going on for me right now. Am I in a rageful state of mind right now? No,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Well, we have actually a word for it. I mean, I'm not going to use the word that is kind of an old-fashioned phrase, but what we've started referring to that idea as here at Unity of Tucson and in the training, we call it subjective consensus.
Right.
It is that the subjective aspect of mind is that which is mostly below the level of awareness. And when I'm in a room, there's a subjectivity that is shared, and that is the consensus. There's a consensus in subjective mind. And
because we go into the coffee shop assuming we've entered into the coffee shop because we want a beverage and a tasty treat maybe. And so we go in there but we are unaware of all of the other aspects or things that are happening. So that's a really great analogy.
And we can either passively accept that subjectivity and it becomes our experience, or we can actively let go and know that we are the ones who are 100% in charge of our mind. Because one of my favorite quotes of Ernest Holmes of all time, all my students are gonna be like, yes, we know, we hear this all the time. One alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority. I live by that.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know,
I find too, in the essence of, you know, being the willingness to change your thinking through a spiritual practitioner or treatment or affirmative prayer. I think about, you know, how hard it is for a lot of us to ask for help. And so when we finally get the courage to seek out a professional practitioner, it's allowing that, it's almost like the willingness is being noted, right? That the willingness to even approach someone else to be vulnerable with, to share, like, I mean, because we go to practitioners because we're dealing with something in our life. Generally, I don't have a lot of people come up to me and say, my life is going so fantastic. I have everything I need. Can you please pray for me? You know, I don't know if that's ever happened in my life. People are coming to get support for something. And it's usually, thank God, something I too am either working on or have worked through. Because the people who vibe, right? There's people, we go to people we vibe with. If there's a practitioner that's in your midst who you're like, I'm not sure, I don't know, I don't have the courage or bravery to go and ask for help. There's someone in your life that will be the training wheels for that.
Yeah.
You know, and at the same time, as soon as you have the openness and the willingness to ask for help, the help is given. As soon as you have the openness and willingness to express your want and what it is you desire, the universe is already conspiring for it to be, because it's in its nature. The moment you are willing, the cup is already open.
Yeah.
And I just know so often some people come to me for prayer and it's something sticky and messy and gooey. And you know, I'm only treating myself and embracing that person at the same time, because my consciousness and their consciousness, there's no separation.
Yeah.
Heal it in my mind, it's healed in all mind.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to heal.
I'm teaching a practitioner class right now. And I mean, you've been through the course of study to become a practitioner, and it's a 2-year course of study. And the first year is all about you. Yeah. As you, the student. It is all about your stuff, how you've gotten to be where you are in your life, looking at beliefs that were established and questioning those beliefs, and looking at the ways that you experienced life and your relationships and your health and, you know, all aspects of your living experience that got you to this point. And part of it is to open up to having a point of view, a healthy point of view around all of that got you to this point. Because what I always tell all those students is anything that you have unhealed in your heart, in your life, as a person who works with other people in the art and the practice of treatment, of mental healing, of things in our lives, if you have not healed it yourself, I guarantee that the people who seek you out are going to be reflections of those unhealed aspects of yourself. And you will then absolutely have to address it. So best to address it beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And embrace it. Embrace the work. Get messy.
Yeah.
Be in it. When people come to me and we do treatment together, no one at the end of that treatment has ever, and I've been doing this for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Treatment, spiritual mind treatment, talking nicely to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
No one at the end says that was horrible. What a waste of time. It's always been that I feel better already. I'm already feeling better, right? So we can embrace that and trust that the person you are called to go and do prayer with are doing it perfectly on your behalf.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no matter what words they use, it is perfect for you on your behalf. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sherry put up, I don't know if this will all fit. Or
I don't know if that will all fit. Holy
but we
diamond.
can try. I'm
We
going to
can
try.
try.
Here, I'm clicking it now.
Okay.
Look at that. It's all there.
Awesome.
Thank you for this conversation, giving me something to ponder as I'm prepping for a movement experience I am presenting tomorrow. Do I prepare the experience from a place of knowing everyone's spiritual truths of physical wellness, or so what their current mental equivalent is, or what their current mental equivalent is, and how do I guide the experience to help the possible opening of receptivity of mind as the participants of their truth of movement? Get it. You're on your cell phone, so sometimes that does make it a little challenging. So I think I know what you're getting at, Sherry. Here's what I would say. Everyone will be in their own place. Yeah. Their mental equivalent is going to be their mental equivalent. Everyone's going to be in their own place of level of experience to what you're presenting. And you, first of all, you are not responsible for their level of experience or their comfort level in the experience. You get to present what you present. What I would say is a compassionate and graceful approach would be to say, listen, this is what I'm presenting. You can explore and find what is comfortable for you in this experience. Give people the opportunity to exist within that level of comfort. That's what I would say. What do you think, Steph?
Oh, that's perfect. My first thought was, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
True.
And so as a facilitator, your responsibility is to present the information that you have passionately and allow everyone else the opportunity to discern it for themselves. We can't make anybody else feel, can't make anybody else learn. And, but we can show them there's water.
Yes.
We can show them there's water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or coffee.
Or coffee.
Hey,
I
love it. I love it. Llama. Yeah. Yeah.
Drinks.
Good thoughts though, Sherry. I mean that we just acknowledge the compassion there, right? Because as facilitators, we want everybody to receive the level of healing we've received by the work that we're doing now.
Yeah.
And I, if I could just download to everyone all the work that I've done on myself in consciousness. I mean, I've said to my wife many times, the world doesn't even know what I do for them.
So true, right?
Because there's crazy thoughts. There's an abundance of things to work on and unpack and peel back the layers to know yourself deeply, to know what you value, to know who you are, to know where you stand, where your edge is at, to know all the gloriousness of your own being. It takes a chisel and a hammer. Sometimes it takes like acid baths, like all metaphorically, right? We don't cause our bodies harm. We do not cause our bodies harm. Well, but we do. And that's why we do the work, because we're tired of causing our bodies harm. So we're like, something better has to be. And so we make it better for ourselves. Yeah. But that's a lot of work to maintain. I used to have, I don't know how many people know this. I used to have rage inside of me. I used to be a very angry, outspoken individual with a lot of opinions. I still have them, but now I digest them for myself and return to principle and remember wholeness, and remember that the person who just poked me, it's not their fault. They didn't install the button. They just poked
Right.
it. So,
That's right.
so the world doesn't know what I do, because it's all in consciousness. It's in
Right.
consciousness we do this work so that I can be the demonstration.
Yeah. You know, you just the notion of our buttons, and to my knowledge, there is no one, well, there's been no one in my experience who does not have a button somewhere, right? And you're right. Nobody else installed the buttons. We installed the buttons. We did it unknowingly.
Yeah.
But those things that push those buttons, I have come to a place where I do not blame other people for the pushing of that button. I don't blame other people for the pushing of that button. I'm responsible for my own buttons. And if I recognize that the button has been pushed, it is not up to anybody else but me to address that. Now the caveat in that is, if someone is unkind, I may have a discussion with them about the experience I had of their unkindness.
Absolutely. We're
Right?
not doormats.
Yeah, we're not doormats. But that is also taking responsibility. But I'm going to do it in such a way that I'm moving forth with grace and with compassion, so that I'm not inadvertently, or I'm attempting to not push their buttons.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because someone who is my experience so far is that someone who is expressing in unkind ways, that unkindness almost always is rooted to something that is unrelated to the experience that I'm having with them. They are layering on an old idea into the experience that I'm having with them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And God bless every one of us.
And so it is.
We're doing the best that we can.
Right. What if we truly proceeded forward with that as the constant mantra? Everyone is doing the best they can. And it may not look like what I think their best should look like.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm no, I am parent to no one, you know, even my stepdaughter. Like, we're just on the journey together.
Yeah.
And when we cannot parent forever. And so just trusting that little decision that I made to just be present with everyone. Everyone is doing the best that they can. Everyone. And I mean everyone. It's freeing. It's freeing. So if you want to free yourself right now, because you were born free, if you just want, let's clarify that. Born free, it's the birthright of every living soul. But if you want to recognize your freedom and be free, stop living in other people's brains or minds or activities, and stop telling stories about yourself on their behalf.
Right.
In your own mind, right? We just, like Bob Newhart, stop it. Yeah,
you know, you brought up actually an idea that I talk about also not infrequently, and that is, you know, stop believing in the story, right?
Yeah.
But I also will remind us all that in the absence of information, we will make up stories.
Yes. Yep.
And that can be detrimental, because those stories are probably not in alignment with, you know, truth.
Yeah.
And if
ask for clarity.
Well, that's what I was going for. That's what I was going to say, is that if you have an absence of information, really actively, this is the advice. I rarely give advice. Actively work against the compulsion to make up a story, and ask questions for clarity. But also, in asking questions for clarity, be prepared for and perhaps okay with not receiving answers that are clear. Because
we're all still clarifying.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
until we're enlightened and awake fully, we're all unclear a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just and keep on studying, keep on asking questions, keep on
Yes.
questioning your own thoughts.
Yeah.
I love like this one life. I get to be aware of this one life right now. This is the life that I have. This is the body that I have. This is the mind that's thinking within it. This is this life. And whether we get 33 years or 102, it's tiny compared to the power and presence that is back of absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so this day is precious.
Mm-hmm.
No, learning who you are, knowing your boundaries, knowing where you want to invest your time and your energy, that's all precious.
Yeah.
Precious. So we got to love ourselves better.
Yeah, we do.
Like I don't understand why everybody is so angry. Like there's a lot of anger out there right now, and we don't know what started it or why, but there's like this we just have a lot of anger.
Can I challenge you on that though?
Absolutely, challenge me.
I think that there is less anger than we think there is. And just bear with me for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is less anger than we think there is. We just have more access to see the anger expressed in the minority.
Mm.
And because we see the anger expressed in the minority more dominantly, we start to believe that there is more anger than anger's opposite. Does that make sense?
I hear what you're saying.
You know, I said several weeks ago on a Sunday, and some people were surprised by this. I said, you know, despite appearances, and I've said this on the rant, despite appearances, humans are living in the most peaceful time in the history of humanity.
Mm.
We sometimes forget that because we have so much evidence that is presented to us that contradicts that idea, but that is not the majority of the evidence. We are simply being fed evidence that counters that idea. And so we begin to believe it. We begin to, make up stories that is the truth, as opposed to, no, the truth is we are living in the most peaceful time in the history of humanity. And what if we started to really acknowledge that peace is the dominant experience and expression? And I get it. Like, here's the thing. Because I know people are probably sitting there fuming at me because, like, there's challenge that many of us are experiencing. And I'm going to say there's challenge many of us are experiencing in the United States of America and in Canada. And I don't want to really go down the road of this political discussion, but the political challenge that is being shoved in our faces and down our throats all the time, whether you watch the news or you don't, we're still in the atmosphere of it. It is not the dominant truth unless we make it so in our own minds. And so how will I, as an individual, one alone in consciousness with the infinite, constituting a complete majority, how will I choose to proceed? Well, I acknowledge that with an acknowledgement that I give every Sunday. We have the peace candle on our stage, on our platform here at Unity of Tucson. And when you're here, Steph, on the 13th of April, I'm so excited. In person, when you're here, and I know you've watched this on video, yeah. I say every single week that this candle remains consistently illuminated.
Yeah.
It never goes out. I could actually almost go take a camera into the sanctuary, which is that direction from where I'm sitting. I could show you that it is currently lit. It is lit 24/7 as a reflection of the consistent illumination of peace in our hearts and our souls. We are the only ones who may ever cover up that illumination. And so what I always say is the degree to which we allow our inner peace to inform every aspect of our being, every thought, every interaction, every relationship, every experience, every circumstances, if we are allowing that inner peace to be reflective and reflecting and reflected in the experience, then right where we are, we become full expressions of world peace. And what if we continue to express that and invite other people to recognize the peace in their own hearts? What a tremendous shift there would be in the, ready? I'm going back to this word, this phrase, the subjective consensus of this country, the country to the north of my country where I live, and frankly, the whole world.
The whole world, yeah.
And I guess the question for me is, what keeps us from that?
Fear.
No, well, fear.
Fear is like the root of anger is fear.
Yeah.
Because if it's not love, it's fear. And so whether there is, 7 people who are angry or 700,000 people who are angry, that it's still present.
Yeah.
And so, and we can't spiritually bypass those 700,000 angry people, and just, let's reflect, let's just think peace and be peace. Absolutely. As an individual, we can, but there's a root. All healing has a root in my experience. And so where I see the anger is really fear of something that's different. And so for more peace, we also actually need more education. And
you will not get any disagreement from me on that.
Because there are people on this planet who think I don't exist. And here I am talking with you right now. Americans get a bad rap, because this is not true of all Americans. Not even the majority.
And I would say not even the majority. But we get a bad rap because we, as a culture, tend to not go out and seek understanding for other cultures or other parts of the world, right? And I was really faced with this when I moved to Canada, because despite what people think, Canada is not, Canada has its own culture.
Yeah.
Canada is very much a culture of its own it is not like the United States.
Grab your poutine.
Grab your poutine, where your two can go out there and spend your last toonie on a really good Timmy's.
Yeah, double. Yeah.
Of course, Timmy's is now an American company, bought by an American corporation, so no longer Canadian.
There you have it. Yeah.
Anyway, but there's it is a separate culture, and I actually had some culture shock when I moved to Canada, and I developed and moved through and tried to be graceful in the experience of allowing myself to, first of all, let myself off of the hook for the things I didn't know. And to try to be graceful in becoming part of that culture. Now, that was an eye-opening experience for me, because I actually sought to get out of the subjective consensus, the bubble that I was in, to seek a greater understanding of the world. I think I've always done that. I grew up in a household that was very much the idea of no more than just what you think you know, or what you're presented with in this culture. Like, seek to understand other cultures. That was a value that was instilled in me. And so I like to think that I had a head start on that. But if we don't have a head start on that, we're going to be limited. And so seeking out education and information and understanding, I think, is a really important way that we can heal this world. There are these comments that are coming up, though, and I don't want to ignore the comments either. I'm like, we're just feeling so passionate today, Steph, about all of
I know,
this.
we're very passionate.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up Sherry's comment. Sometimes when I seek out clarity, I feel like a fool asking, because I am embarrassed that I had the misunderstanding to begin with, because it is a reflection of something within me. So instead of asking, I turn back to myself and ask what work I need to do. You know what? Can I let you off the hook, Sherry? What if, this is just a what if you approached it by acknowledging the embarrassment you feel, to say, I feel a little embarrassed by recognizing that I have an unknown and I want to be able to ask this question for clarity so I can understand. I seek to understand. That I think is a graceful, perhaps, consideration for how you may ask the question that you're too embarrassed to ask. Just acknowledge that you seek clarity and you seek understanding, and you're a little embarrassed by that.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think we should.
Vulnerability is never a bad idea.
Say that again.
Vulnerability is never a bad idea.
No. And none of us should ever take for granted that we don't know what we don't know. Trust me, the breadth of things that I don't know is immense.
Yeah. Well, haven't you seen that the diagram? The
90-10?
This is what I know that I know. Mm-hmm. This is what I know that I don't know. This is everything I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
And I think too, Sherry, the approach of that, I see that you wrote, I like that. I think the approach of that too is, what if we were all a little more vulnerable with one another?
Yeah, you're building connection there. That's what you're doing. Showing vulnerability and saying, I'm open to be my vulnerable self, and I need clarity. You are creating a deeper connection with the person you're asking. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And connection is what it's all about.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, Angela, I trust you both realize how much your chatting shares with so many of us. No matter what you choose to discuss, you give me pause for new thoughts and growth. Thank you. I will be lighting a peace candle in my home.
Yes.
I do want to let you know, Angela, that I said this in class the other night. I said, our peace candle is electric. It actually plugs in so that it can be lit 24/7 because for safety reasons, we don't have open flame in the sanctuary unless I'm in there.
An open flame.
Ours was battery operated. We actually wired it so that it's actually plugged in now. So yeah, but yeah, find the way. So I would say set up an altar, find the things that put on that altar that remind you of the truth of your being. If a peace candle is part of that, that's awesome.
That's not it.
Like my kind of altar display is over there. Can't as easily show it to you.
Yeah,
I can. I think. I'm gonna.
Now we're getting pictures of our altars.
Right.
I have a picture of mine, so I'm gonna share it.
Oh,
can you move your camera?
My phone is not connected to my computer in the way that it often is. So, Sherry, a salt lamp is a great alternative for a peace candle. Yeah. Here's the thing: whatever represents light.
Yes.
Whatever represents the light. I have a salt lamp back there. It's not very bright, but it's there. Anita says there are myriad
here's
ways.
I set mine up seasonally.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I change it every season. I re-energize and focus on like what I take. I have a bin of all of my stuff, like a nice wooden treasure chest of good stuff. And then at the beginning of every month, or as the season changes, I feel into what's going up there this time. So all of that is intentional, except for the plants. They're always there because plants. Hello.
Yeah. I love your Buddha.
That painting is supposed to be up on the wall. So that's going to happen soon, but I'm going to repaint the room. So and I painted that. Nice. It's called The Birth of a New Phoenix.
Beautiful. But I love your Buddha. I've always wanted a Buddha. I have if you will.
It was a gift.
If you will allow me, I'm going to try to get this activated to be able to show you.
I do love a salt lamp. We've got one downstairs.
Totally.
I only have one plug in this whole room.
There we go. Okay, so you're about to, this is going to be very funny, I think. I think I can now unplug it. Nope, it does not like that. Oh no, it's fine.
It's there. I can see.
So yeah, bring this up because I've put my altar sort of in my bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
It is, yeah, I will repost Anita's comment
Yeah.
just a minute.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
But these are things I've collected over the years that all have significant meaning to me
Mm-hmm.
and have become the altar for my life. I know that you can probably barely hear me.
No, we can hear you just fine.
What's that?
We can hear you
Look, this is
just
what I
fine.
see. Okay. I'm removing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a weird thing to do.
That was an off rant.
That was an off rant. Okay. Anita, there are myriad ways in which human beings can have misunderstandings, and it isn't that one of them is lacking anything. It's just part of the deal of being separate skin bags. Yeah.
I prefer flesh bucket, but I accept your skin bag.
Skin bag.
Yeah. I like a good flesh bucket.
Yeah.
There is like unique and unrepeatable. That's our whole purpose. And so we're going to receive new teachings the way we're going to receive them. We're going to understand things differently. And the whole point, it's not, for me, the whole point of life is not kumbaya. At the end of all of this, the whole world is going to be holding hands in one big line and singing kumbaya.
We are the world.
It's that every single one of us gets to be authentic and real and raw without
condemnation.
Yes, without judgment. Just accept each other. Accept each other. I don't have to live in your house or wear your shoes. Right. I don't. I've got my own.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. I get to visit your home. And I get to, like, through your demonstration of your authentic nature and bringing yourself to this life, I get to, like, maybe have a taste of what walking in your shoes is like, but I'm never going to ever truly understand unless I resonate because I've gone through something similar.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're going through something together, and even togetherness. Tammy, my wife, and I, we've had disagreements. We've had the same moment and disagreed about it. Mm-hmm. We've had the same moment, same characters, same script,
mm-hmm.
and we've had opposite experiences from that one thing. And so that's in a loving relationship. So maybe just a little more patience for the people who are living outside of us. Just a little more patience. Patience is
patience
a
requires,
huge thing.
The other thing patience requires is a bit of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because for me, my expression of patience means I may have to express some vulnerability to you in that. Yeah.
And patience with the discomfort and uncomfortability that I am sitting in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like this thing that I'm in, I know I'm going to get through it. How? My life is evidence that I've already come through it.
Yeah.
And so, patience for ourselves, patience for one another, patience all around.
Peg, yes, accept others without judgment and the challenge to do the same for myself. That is very important. You've also made me think. So my mentor in ministry was Dr. James Mellon, and back, almost 20 years ago, he started a group that he just announced it on a Sunday, much to my chagrin when I was the administrator for his spiritual center, because all of a sudden he was making this announcement about this group he was putting together, and I had no registration. It was like out of the blue in the middle of a service, and I had no registration mechanism set up. But he's like, the first 10 people that sign up for this, we're going to do this. And it's a 16-week spiritual boot camp, right? That we dealt with the registration issue, but it became the basis for subsequent 16-week programs that went from being called spiritual boot camp to being called mental muscle. And many of us have taken that work also, and we've applied it and taught it in our own spiritual centers. As I moved into ministry, I had several mental muscle classes in Toronto. I have done mental muscle a few times here in Tucson. It's something that has developed. It's 16 weeks of awareness, and in each week, there is a directive. There is a directive, and you live within the constructs of the directive, and you do the work every single week, and you have times to come back. You have time to come back and reflect on how the work is going, and it is a boot camp. It's a spiritual mind boot camp, right? And now I'm going to give away the whole game, because on the last week, week 15, which leads into week 16, is kind of the culmination of it all. But week 15 is no judgment week. And the call is to live your entire, every moment of your life free of judgment, to open up to realizing when you are living in judgment, and to live in a judgment-free expression and a judgment-free zone, and to not react with judgment when judgments are being thrust upon you. It's quite an experience.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a reason it's week 15 out of 16, because there's a build up to that, because it's not necessarily the easiest thing for us to just hop right in. Oh, I'm going to stop judging.
It's a lifelong journey for me.
It is. And there is great benefit, I think, in seeking to be judgment free. Which is not to now I want to be really clear, which is not to say that we should not be discerning.
Two different things.
When I talk about judgment, what I'm talking about is opinion with heat and without consideration of other views. That's how I would define the way I'm speaking of judgment in this moment. Because I'll tell you what, Jesus had some opinions. Jesus had some discernments. And there was at least one instance where that discernment turned, I think, into judgment. And that's when he overturned the tables in the temple. Even Jesus was working.
Even Jesus. So for me, it's how many times do I have to ask them to just rinse their dishes? Just rinse them. It's daily practice for me. It's a moment. Someone left me dishes to rinse. That's where I want to get to, right? Oh, look at that! Somebody left me dishes to rinse. How
it's
wonderful!
A moment practice for many of us.
Wow! Look at the time, dude.
To the end. And I am deeply grateful. I just want to put this up because I think it's really beautiful. Radiate Life of Lorelei Brogan. I thank you for all those beautiful emojis sharing with us. One thing that I realized last week, and I just want to acknowledge that after we were complete with last week's live stream rant, I noticed that there were comments on Facebook that had not made it into our feed through the software that we use. And so I apologize if your comments are out there and they didn't make it to our feed. It's a software thing that, we only have so much control over the software that we are using. And so, if you want to send us messages for things we may have missed today, I would love for you to email us. And our emails are right there on the screen. RevJonathan@unitytucson.com, Steph@onelevawakening.com. We are happy to receive your messages. A couple of things I do also want to remind you of. Steph is coming to Tucson. And we will be, the rant on April 11th. The rant on April 11th will be live from inside the Unity of Tucson Sanctuary. Steph and I are going to use the Unity of Tucson Sanctuary as our TV studio. If you are in Tucson or you are near enough to come join us on that day, we would love to have you in person as our studio audience.
Yeah.
So just remember that the rant goes live at 9:30 a.m.
And afterwards, we're probably going to be hungry.
And we probably will be hungry. But the rant goes live at 9:30 a.m. Tucson time on April 11th. We'd love to have you here. But we, of course, will be here next Friday as well.
Yes. Absolutely. Do you
I
have
feel like there's a million
stools?
things I want to tell people about.
I just feel like I want to be sitting on a stool.
For the rant?
The rant, like two stools and like a whole.
It's going to be these little chairs.
Yes. Oh, fun.
Yeah,
Fun.
I'm going to bring those.
Like we're visiting
chairs.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, it's going to be like we're literally going to be sitting there and having a nice conversation on comfy chairs.
Yes, love it.
And I'm going to try to arrange to make sure we have a microphone available for anybody who might be joining us in the studio audience to ask questions in person, make your comments in person. It's going to be I'm excited.
And it's going to be 90 minutes instead of an hour, right?
I'm going to plan on 90 minutes because I think we could very easily go 90 minutes.
I think.
Yeah.
Especially when we're live, we're going to be very excited to be in the room.
I'm going to be so excited to be in a room with you because it'll be the first time you and I have been in a room together, I think, since 2017.
Get out.
Yeah, because that's when we were in Irvine together. And that's the last time we actually were physically in the same room together.
My gosh. We haven't hugged since I was ordained.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
You've hugged my wife. I have evidence.
Yes, I have. I've been in a room more recently with your wife than I've been in a room with you.
Yeah. And that picture's going up around here. But first, I wanted blue. I tried it. I can't do it. It's too blue. It's too much.
It's pretty blue.
It's too much.
It's
very
pretty blue.
Yeah.
You know what? And you tend to wear blue.
And I wear a
It
lot.
becomes really blue.
Yeah, I know. I open my closet and I'm like, oh, I really got to branch out. There's so many other colors.
You know what you could do? You could do a green screen paint behind you, and then you could put up any background you want.
True that. I know. I watched on Instagram. I watch artists or do-it-yourself folks, and I found 6 palettes, and now I have a mansion. You know, they're magnificent. And so I saw a woman. She turned just peel and stick wallpaper into glorious, massive art pieces in her space. So anything's possible.
Anything is possible.
Blue is wonderful. I need something to break it up. I mean, this is my watering jug, you guys. Oh, careful. It's still got water in it. This is my watering jug. Okay.
And I love blue.
Okay. This is my plant. Okay. I feel like it's showing. I need variety. I need some more variety in my life right now. It's just here is my dust rag, you guys. Here's my eyeglass cleaner.
Here's my business card holder.
I need some variety
Here's my
in my life right now.
Travel.
It's show and tell. You guys here. Last one. I had a choice on what color to get my Yeti. It's blue. Oh my gosh. What's your favorite color, Steph? Beige. My favorite color is beige, but everyone thinks it's blue.
Well, you are immersed in blue.
I'm immersed in and surrounded by an infinite blue.
Yeah. I think we've gone off the rails.
I've lost. Yeah.
All right, everybody.
I'm done.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week, everybody. Lots of love to you.
Lots of love to you. And again, put on your calendars. April 11th, we'll be in person here in Tucson. And the rant will be happening in the meantime on Fridays, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 Central. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon. I love you all.
Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.